Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Zipporah Levy-Shackelford, the founder of Creative Approach Development Center and your closing keynote speaker for this conference. I really wish we could have all been in person to have these discussions and to meet, but I'm really happy that everyone is staying healthy at home and being safe. This conference had some amazing presenters that shared some valuable information that will help you build the village to help your child continue to grow and progress. And I know that when you attend things like this, it's real easy to feel the positive energy and to become super encouraged and motivated to get things done. But as time progresses, that motivation can kind of fizzle out and it's really easy to become discouraged. And that is the reason why I am going to share with you 15 ways to keep the momentum going and to avoid burnout. Are you ready? Let's go. Before we get started, I wanted to share some information about Creative Approach Development Center and myself. I am a mom to 4 wonderful children, 3 of which have special needs, a behavior specialist, and an education consultant. I'm involved with several disability advocacy organizations and serve as the vice chair for Governor Northam's committee focused on early intervention. I have a doctorate in education and a certification in positive behavior supports, also known as PBS, which is a behavioral support that uses the strategies of ABA with person-centeredness. CADC is the company I started in 2015, and while it's located in Richmond, Virginia, we are set up to provide our one-on-one supports, host workshops, and provide trainings online. We use PBS to help individuals ages 5 through adult improve their quality of life by making positive behavioral changes and setting up systems to address challenges related to anxiety, ADHD, depression, developmental delay, intellectual disabilities, learning disabilities, and more. For more information about our services and to view some of our resources, please check out our website at www.creativeapproachonline.com. All right, so let's get into the list of the 15 ways to keep up momentum while you're leading teams to help your child reach their goals. Number 15, create SMART goals. The essence SMART goals stands for specific. This means you want your goals to be clear, concise, and focused. Think of the process of creating goals like planning a trip. The first thing you tend to do when planning to travel is decide where you're going, and you're very specific with this. You don't just stop at deciding what country or state you want to visit. You also decide on the city, which hotel you're going to stay in that town, where you want to eat, and the places you want to visit. And it goes even further than just saying, I'm going to stay at the Holiday Inn in San Antonio, Texas. You add even more specific details down to the street the hotel is on, which is chosen because of how close it is to the sites you want to visit and the things you want to do. Making your goals specific for you and your child brings you and them closer to the things they want to do and the quality of experience they have while doing it. Adding the specific details help you stay on course and makes it easier to identify when you're getting sidetracked. An example of being specific when creating a goal is instead of saying I'm going to save money, saying I'm going to save $700. By adding a specific monetary amount, it helps you better identify when you reach your goal. The M in SMART goal stands for measurable. By making sure you and your child's goals are measurable, you are increasing the likelihood that the goals are achieved. Measurable goals allow you to track progress as you can look at where you are and compare that to where you need to be. This information will also help with deciding if any changes in your plan are needed as you work towards your goal. If the goal is designed without measurable features, you have the potential of getting severely off course and jeopardizing you or your child's chances of being successful. An example of a measurable goal is to say, we will read 5 books of at least 250 pages by New Year's Eve, instead of just saying, we will read more books this year. The first example lets everyone know how many books as well as what qualifies in the count, in this case, books of at least 250 pages. Without this information, It is easy for the goal to be interpreted in different ways, making it harder to determine if it has been met. This is easy to see when setting a goal for a group, like in the example, but is also the case when setting a goal for yourself. Without the added measurable pieces, it is too easy to change up your goal according to your mood and current perspective. You may start it out with high intentions, but then lose motivation and change the goal to something less challenging, or not feel your efforts are good enough and ignore all you have accomplished and focus longer on a goal you have already achieved, thinking you have not. The A in SMART goals stands for attainable or achievable, and this is the part where you identify if the goal is something you or your child is capable of achieving, and whether this means that you or they can do this independently or with supports. If supports are needed, are they available for you to work on this goal? And all of this information can be included in this goal, which is something that we commonly see in the IEPs. So an example of including whether or not a goal is attainable independently or with supports would be this information from an example IEP. So let's say Marissa has an IEP, and in her plan it says that she will sit independently in large group activity for at least 10 minutes, dot, dot, dot. And then Jeremy's plan says that he will sit and attend to or participate in large and small group activities with no more than 3 prompts. So while this doesn't show the whole IEP goal, I just wanted to include an example of how the attainable piece is included in goals to say whether the goal will be completed completely independently or with some sort of supports. The R in SMART stands for realistic. I'm not saying not to shoot for the stars when you're making a goal, but you do have to make them somewhat realistic. If you're creating a goal that is too far off and it takes too long to reach, it's very easy to lose momentum and get frustrated. So what I suggest is to think about that really high goal, but then think about the steps that you need to complete before you get there and make those steps your initial SMART goals. As you check them off, you go on to the next step until you get for that really high goal that you really want to reach. An example of an unrealistic goal for me would be saying, I will come in first place in a marathon. While this is a possibility, it is not realistic because I don't run, and I haven't even ran a mile since high school when I had to do it for the physical fitness test. A more realistic goal for me would be to say, I will run a mile without stopping. This is something I can achieve quicker, and then as I reach that goal, I can increase the distance until I get up to the marathon level. The T in SMART stands for time-based. When creating your SMART goals, you want to make sure that you include a deadline. This helps you know how much time you have to work towards your goal and also allows you to better track your progress. A simple example of this is, I will lose 20 pounds versus I will lose 20 pounds by March 30th. In the first example, there is no deadline, and therefore it can go on forever with trying to reach this goal. However, by adding the specific date of March 30th, you now know that you have to be a little bit more deliberate in your actions so that you can meet the goal by that specific date. Number 14, break it down. Having a SMART goal is great because it helps you specifically identify what you want to work on, and it creates a path for you to get from realizing and creating your goal to actually achieving it. But for those long-term goals, the process is lengthy, and it's not uncommon to lose momentum along the way because you feel as though you're not making any progress. You can address this challenge by breaking your goals down into smaller pieces, and then you are provided with tools that help you track your progress. Think of the broken down pieces as checkpoints along a racetrack. Each one you reach brings you a little closer to the finish line while also letting you know where you are in the race. Number 13, create a good team. What they say is true. You can't do it by yourself. You definitely need a team. We just can't be experts in everything, and trying to become one is a sure way to lead to burnout and losing momentum. Supporting a child with special needs requires a lot of different skills, points of view, and expertise in all facets of life, not just academically, but then there's medically, financially, socially, and the list goes on. It's not uncommon to hear things like it takes a village or you need a team when you're trying to get things done, but information on how to build a good team is not always so easily found. So here are some tips to help you get started with building your team. First, think about the skills your child needs to work on and the goals you and your child have developed. Make that into a list, and then go through your list and think about each task and who you may already know that can help you meet that goal. Once you have identified that person, reach out to them and explain how they can help you with that specific task. Then, for those on the list that you do not already have a contact for, do a little research and try to find somebody that can help in that area. As your child grows, you will continue this process and it will have to be revised according to their goals and expectations. And as they get older and their expectations and needs change, this list will change, which will require you to repeat the process and change your team up some. Number 12, pass the baton. All right, you've created your SMART goals, broken them down into smaller pieces, made your team, and now you need to pass off the baton. Passing off the baton is a step that is often a challenge for parents, especially parents of children with special and exceptional needs. But to keep from getting overwhelmed, you need to take the small pieces you have created from your SMART goals and delegate them to the members of your team and other trusted individuals. Spend time thinking about what they are strong in and who would be best for each part. Explain what you need them to do just like you did with your SMART goals and give SMART directions. Be specific and provide measurable and time-based information to help them help you meet that goal exactly the way it needs to be met. Number 11, build a support circle. We hear a lot of talk about getting a support buddy or person, and I totally love the idea and recommend it myself, but I actually suggest taking it a step further and building yourself a support circle. I recommend the circle because I find a couple of challenges with always going to the same one person. The first reason is that they're not always available when you may need them because they have a life of their own. The second is we want to be aware of their mental well-being and don't always want to have to go to just one person when we need to vent or we need help brainstorming a solution to a problem. And third, just like when I talked about building the team and making it up with people with different talents and skills, you want to make sure that you have this in your everyday daily life as well. The support circle is your go-to for brainstorming and venting, but they're also there to help boost the confidence when you have to try something new, or maybe you've had life knock you down a couple of times and need a little bit more help with getting up. They're there to help distract you sometimes and make you laugh or focus on things outside of your life. And they're also there to remind you that you're doing a great job at being you. So having a small group in this role will allow you to see things from different angles and help you keep up your momentum of being a special needs parent with everything else you have going on in your life. While you want the members of your support circle to be diverse to help you with all the different challenges and experiences you're going to go through, there are a couple of characteristics that you do want them to share. Being non-judgmental and calm and understanding are very important. You also want to make sure that the members of your support circle are motivating and encouraging. If you're having a hard time getting going and keeping the momentum going, and you're going to people who are telling you it doesn't matter or just, worry about it tomorrow, that's not very helpful. So making sure that the members of your support circle are motivating and encouraging is important. Those that are creative and know how to think outside the box are helpful. People who are positive, and definitely those with a sense of humor to help you get through the tough times. Number 10, be gentle with yourself. There is definitely no handbook for being a parent, and being a special needs parent even more so, right? And I know I'm not the only parent that lays in my bed each night and thinks about the events of the day and yesterday and last week and last month and last year. And then my mind jumps into the future and starts with all the what ifs. And as a result, I start saying, you know what? I should have done this to help her more. And I should have said that to that teacher to advocate for her more. And you play the I should have, I could have, I would have, and you just judge yourself and beat yourself up. And that negatively affects your momentum. And there's times where I personally have felt like I'm doing such a bad job and I've screwed up so much as a parent. I can't do this. I don't want to do this. And it's during those times that you have to remember to be gentle with yourself too. Because as your child is learning and you're supporting your child with learning and you're educating your child's team with learning about your child and how to support your child with their learning and their goals, you also have to be gentle with yourself because you're learning too. And these are some of the mantras that instead of beating yourself up at night or whenever time you dedicate to reflecting over your job as a parent and critiquing yourself, every time you say something negative, I want you to replace it with one of these positive mantras. And then I want you to get to the point where immediately when you start reflecting on your day, you start saying to yourself, like, I'm doing my best, or I did my best today, and tomorrow is another day. Remind yourself that you're strong. And a lot of times when we're working as a special needs parent with the schools and administrators, and then you're working with their medical teams and therapists, and you're looking at all the credentials and the alphabet soup behind their name, and I often hear parents say, I'm just a dad or I'm just a mom. And I want you to start removing that just, or if you use the just, use it to say that you're just as good and just as smart as the rest of the members on the team. And remind yourself that, there's going to be challenges and problems, but just like the ones in the past, you can and you will figure it out. And if you did do something that you felt like it was a mistake, then you can say, now I know that when I did it this way, it didn't work out. So next time I will do it different. So these are just some examples of some positive ways to start being gentle with yourself and not beating yourself up and not engaging in that negative self-talk to help you keep up the momentum. Because if you don't believe in yourself, then you're not going to be able to continue on the journey and make sure the team that you're leading is able to continue on the journey. Number 9, take breaks and get rest. We live in a time period where we have some really unrealistic expectations for ourselves, especially as parents. We feel that as parents, we have to help our children get the best grades and be their best and look their best and have the best nutrition and, cute little lunches and perfect dinners. All the laundry needs to be done. They need to be involved in every activity, and we need to be there as their biggest fans. And we have to look our best and be top at our jobs, and the list goes on and on. And as a result, we're replacing the time periods for our rest to kind of meet these expectations that are often not even important. I know there have been times in my past that I'm ashamed to say that I have stayed up for like 32, 33 hours straight because I was trying to get it all done. And I do have a lot of different things that I'm involved with, and I was trying to be perfect at them all. And when I would do that, I would feel like, oh, I don't need to rest. I can get this done. And then when it's done, I can rest. But then when I look back at the quality of what I did, it wasn't at a level that I was proud of. So that's when I started learning more that it was better for me to step back and take a break and then address whatever was not done today the next day. So once I started deciding I was going to take more time to rest, I realized I didn't even remember how to rest. I would lay down in my bed at night, and instead of just, drifting off and getting some good sleep and relaxing, my mind was racing. And I had a lot of feelings of guilt that I should have been doing this and I should have been doing that. And don't even get me started with trying to schedule some me time to go and get my nails done, or go and even sit and drink a cup of coffee in a coffee shop or even in my kitchen without multitasking. So I had to actually learn how to get some purposeful rest. And I'm sharing some tips with you if this is something you struggle with. So, number one, I realized that I have to make taking a break multiple times during the day and getting rest a part of my routine. And I need to actually make a routine for it. So, when I take a break during the day, that means shutting off my computer. That means stepping away from my desk or whatever I'm working on, because that is a visual for me that it's time for me to stop for a minute and let my brain rest. At night, I have my whole night routine where I do my skincare and take a bubble bath and read a book. And all of that is a routine that I have developed to help me signal to my brain that I'm resting. I also realized that rest is more than just going to bed at night. You need to make sure you're taking breaks throughout the day, kind of like recharging yourself and recharging your phone all throughout the day. So I had to actually start writing it down on my calendar. I had to put it and schedule it throughout my day. Otherwise, my day would be filled with all of these to-dos and I would not take a break. So I actually had to put it on my schedule for the day and write it down. And I also realized that if I wrote it down, I felt more guilty if I didn't stick to it. So that's another important reason to write down when you're going to rest, because it makes it more important. And then you have to be strict with not canceling on yourself. And that kind of goes back to making yourself realize how important you are and how important your role is with leading this team towards these goals. So once you start realizing that, you don't want to cancel on yourself. And then you want to figure out what materials you need to help you rest better. Again, for my night routine, I love having my hour to read before I go to bed. I love having my hot bath with lavender, doing a little bit of skincare treatment, and tea. So, what are some of the different materials that you can add to your nighttime routine and even your breaks throughout the day to help them be more purposeful and effective? With our children, we're getting the melatonin, we're doing the lavender lotions, we're doing the weighted blankets. Use some of those tools for yourself to help you get some more purposeful rest as well. Number 8, use technology. We are constantly using our phones, computers, and tablets, but sometimes we forget to use them to help us with organization and planning. Spend some time playing around with your devices to learn about all their features and to see which ones can help you out with making and tracking your goals, leading your team, and getting organized. And while we're on the topic of technology, don't forget to make those technology-related goals for your child so they can learn how to use these tools to help them develop new skills. Number 7, use a schedule. There is so much power in writing things down, and I love adding the steps that I have broken down for my goals onto my schedule and including the dates of when I should be reaching the different steps, because again, it helps me track my progress. So when it comes to schedules, I like to separate them into two categories. You have your traditional schedules and then you have your electronic. For the traditional, you can always use the good old calendar. We have wall calendars, we have desk calendars, we have the little pocket calendars, whatever works best for you. But get a calendar and write it down so that you can put the steps to your goals and the things you need to do to help you reach your goals on the specific dates. Then you can use a dry erase board. I love this because you write it down, and as you complete your task or meet your date, you can erase it. And then there's the planner. I love planners. I think I have an addiction for planners. I have all kinds of planners, but my new favorite ones that I use the most are the disc planners. And this may be something that you're familiar with, maybe not as familiar with, but this is the one that I have the picture in the middle. And it's actually a planner, and you use the disc to put it together. It's kind of like a build your own planner. So you get the cover, and then there's these different discs, and then you add the pages to it. And you can add the pages in the order that you want. So you can have a calendar and then have a notebook section. They even have template pages for things like adding recipes or keeping track of your finances. There's all kinds of different pages that you can add to this. And as you fill up the pages, you simply just take it out and just add new ones. So the reason why I really like the disc planner is because you can keep using it over and over. And I love that. And you find these at your traditional office supply stores. I see them at Staples. They have one that's called ARC, ARC. That is their brand. They have it at Office Depot. They have them in Walmart and Target. And good old Amazon definitely has a lot too. So these are examples of your traditional planners, your good old paper and pen format for you to write down your goals and the different steps of your goals and help you kind of stay on track and keep it all organized. Now, when it comes to your electronic schedules, there are tons of apps, programs, and websites on the market that can help you with keeping up with your schedule and your progress on your SMART goals. And these are a few examples. These examples can all be used on your computer and your phone, which is a plus, but not all actually have this feature. So remember that. Having to enter stuff in your schedule once and having it available in multiple places is best because it prevents you from forgetting to enter the event or deadline in one area and from doing things like double booking yourself or completely forgetting about a event or an appointment altogether because it wasn't on your phone calendar, it was just on the calendar on your computer. And when looking for a technical tool for keeping your schedule, look for one that automatically updates and is available on all different electronic devices. Because again, you don't want to have to enter it in your phone, but then you have to update it on the computer or on your tablet. And then consider the cost. A lot of people, when it comes to apps, they just want to look at the free apps. They don't want to have to pay for anything. But I always suggest that if you're really into and you really want to get a electronic schedule, then think about how much you would cost if you were buying the traditional planner or calendars over the years, because most of the time the apps is a one-time cost. So if you're going to spend $14 or $15 a year on a planner and the app is only $15 for a one-time use, you're actually saving money. And the best advice I can give is to do a little bit of research and read the different comments and the reviews on the apps or program or the website you're trying to use and try to determine if this is the best tool for you. And if there's a way to test it out, test it out. And remember, it's okay to have multiple calendars and multiple formats. I use my traditional disc planner most, but I do also have Google Calendars that I don't use as often, but I do have it. So it's okay to have multiple tools and multiple formats. You just need to figure out what is the system that works best for you and then go for it. And it may work for you for a time and then it doesn't. And that's okay too, to use it for a time period and then change it up. Number 6, get organized. Getting and staying organized is key for reaching and achieving your goals. So you want to make sure that you create systems and that your systems include all of the different tools and resources that you need for working towards each of the different steps towards your goals. And you need to maintain this because you use your system and then things get out of place or things change and you want to make sure that everything is where it needs to be. So if you get those file folders and you put all your papers in it and then you pull them out for a meeting, make sure they go back in there so that your system stays up to date. And I really recommend putting some dates on your calendar, at least quarterly, where you spend a good day going through your organization systems and making sure everything's in place, cleaning it up, and getting it back to where it needs to be. Because as you use your system, it will get a little bit unorganized. So don't just create it. You got to make sure that you're maintaining it too, so that it stays a useful resource for you. Number 5, take care of yourself physically. Your physical health is very important, because if you don't feel good, then you can't do much, right? When we have our aches and pains and our headaches, we're not as productive and energetic and creative as we are when we're feeling healthy. So making sure that you are every day continuing to work on a goal related to you being healthy as you can be. So making sure you're eating right, making sure you're eating, period, right? Because I know there have been days where it's 2 or 3 o'clock and I haven't eaten anything. So making sure you're eating, period, but then when you do eat, it is healthy. Drinking your water, getting in some exercise. It doesn't have to be joining a gym, just getting out and walking. Even if you just walk around the front yard or the driveway back and forth a couple of times, that's good. But finding ways to keep moving. Put music on when you're cooking and dance while you're cooking. But some ways to get your heart rate up, to kind of, keep you healthy, and stretching to stay flexible, and getting your sleep. So again, these are just some ideas. I know there's a lot of suggestions out there for ways to get healthy. Going to the doctor is important. Making sure you keep up with your appointments, just like you make sure that your child makes it to all of theirs, which includes dental health as well, and vision. So just taking care of yourself so that you can be the best you to continue to lead this team towards these incredible goals that you have created. Number 4, take care of yourself mentally. I have noticed over the years that parents will do anything to make sure their children have the right medical help, behavioral health, academic health. I've heard of parents driving from Virginia to um, Philadelphia, North Carolina. I even know of a parent in Texas who goes all the way to New York twice a year for her daughter to get special treatment. So parents will do anything to make sure their children have what they need. But then when I ask them how they're doing and who they have to help them with some of the emotional and mental health challenges associated with being a parent and a special needs parent, they usually don't have anything in place. So I included this to help you kind of think about that and ask yourself the question, what mental health supports do I have in place? And this may not necessarily mean that you have to go to therapy, but you do have to make sure that you're checking in with yourself mentally, and that you're allowing yourself to feel, and you're not beating yourself up if you have any kind of what is labeled as a negative feeling. If you feel frustrated, if you feel annoyed, if you feel like I don't want to do this, that's okay. Those are healthy feelings and you need to acknowledge them. Don't feel like you're wrong for feeling that way. One of the strategies that I suggest for parents is to incorporate some meditation into their day. And I find that a lot of parents don't really understand how to meditate. And I didn't really understand it myself. And I'm still learning. I'm still in the beginning stages of meditation and trying to make sure I put it on my schedule, and that I'm taking time out every day to, at least for 2 minutes, focus and meditate. There's a great app out. You may have seen the commercials for it, but the Calm app and Headspace, both of those are really good with helping you with some visual meditation. So I recommend those. Also on your handout, I included some good YouTube videos for you to check out to start the process. And remember that when you're starting out, meditations for 30 seconds to a minute. You don't have to sit there for an hour in a yoga position to meditate. You do it again the way that it works for you. So meditating is great. I talked about your support circle, so making sure you have some people that you can share some of your thoughts and emotions and concerns with, where you don't have to worry about being judged and critiqued and ridiculed for it. That's very important. If you feel that you do need the professional supports, by all means, try to find yourself a good therapist. And if medication is needed, a physician, psychologist that will get you the right medication that you need. Um, I also recommend for your mental health, again, taking those breaks and having some kind of a creative outlet is very helpful. I think we get caught up in the day to day and all of the to dos, and we don't provide ourselves with that time to express ourselves in a creative way. So, whether it's dancing or drawing or painting or gardening, cooking, journaling, reading, find a way to kind of let your brain have a little bit of that creative outlet every single day, even if it's for 10 minutes a day where you're just scribbling something down, or you're working on a puzzle and you only do, a couple of pieces every day. But whatever it is, find a way to have that expressive creative outlet. So, in summary, for taking care of your mental well being, you want to make sure that you have your breaks, which it should include meditation to allow your brain time to kind of clear out. If you need the support team or someone to talk to, you should have your support circle, but there are times where a professional is needed, and don't feel ashamed or bad if that is the case. It's very healthy and it's a very good thing to work with a professional therapist. So do some research and find one in your area that can help you work out some challenges and some issues with trauma. Um, and if you need to take medication, please find a good professional that can help you with your prescriptions and monitor you while you're taking your prescriptions, and find your creative outlet. A lot of times, just having that way to express yourself, we get caught up with being mom or dad and, employee and sister and brother and all these other titles. And sometimes we get so caught up in that stuff, we forget to be us. So having that creative outlet, that hobby, kind of lets you tap back into being you. And that's very important for your mental well being too. So find different ways. These were just some suggestions, but think about some ways that kind of bring you calm and bring you happiness. And then make sure you're putting that on your schedule and incorporating it at least every day for at least 10 to 15 minutes, if not more. Number 3, don't sweat the small stuff. All right, so in order to be successful with not only reaching your goals, but keeping up that momentum and making it a pleasant experience along the way, you have to learn how to prioritize things and not sweat the small stuff. And this can kind of go in two different directions. When I say don't sweat the small stuff, part of me means as far as getting things done. And your to-do list. And then the other part of me means don't sweat the small stuff as far as how you react to other people's behaviors and actions. So let's go back to the first one that I mentioned with your to-do list. Again, we try to be super parents, superheroes, and try to get everything done in a wink of an eye. And that becomes overwhelming and stressful. So what I suggest for this is to come up with some kind of a Likert, and I have some examples. I like to recommend to address it as either a number or a color. So if we do colors, let's say you have a blue for something that's not important and can kind of be put off, yellow for something that's a little bit more important, but it doesn't have to be done immediately, and red is that urgent level that has to be addressed immediately. And again, you can do numbers for this or words or whatever works best for you. And then as you go through your day and different things pop up, assign your color to it. If it's something that's red, then by all means, get it done. If it's yellow, I can't do this now, but I'll put it on my schedule for this day because this day is a little bit less hectic for me, so I can get it done there. If it's blue, then don't even stress over it. You'll get it done when you get it done. And by having this system in place, it keeps you calm. It keeps you from getting stressed out because you want it to vacuum the living room today, but you did so many other things and an emergency popped up, and now you're exhausted and you're laying down and you're beating yourself up because you didn't get to vacuum. So this kind of helps you prioritize. And if it's in that blue level, then you don't have to, I guess, like feel guilty if you don't get to it, and you won't um, become overwhelmed from trying to do it all. Now, when it comes to people's behaviors, we can't control other people's behaviors. This includes the person who cuts you off or beeps their horn as soon as the light turns green, the person who is in customer service who's rude, or the teacher who just doesn't get it during the IEP meeting. We can't control how other people think or react. We know that, but that doesn't mean that it's not as frustrating having to deal with their reactions. So, in this situation, because we can't fly off the handle for everything, and we really should not waste valuable time kind of thinking about how another person reacted and expressed themselves, because that's taking away valuable time from your day. So, come up with a routine for when this happens. Um, when I encounter a rude person, I will take 4 deep breaths. I will think about being on the beach with the waves running over my feet as I read a book, and I will think about the smell of roses, or I would think about the smell of the clover biscuits my great grandmother used to make from scratch. So, kind of come up with your own routine for helping you to cope with that small stuff that you shouldn't worry about, but you do because you're human. And it's really a waste of time, and it can interfere with your momentum. So, with not sweating the small stuff, I'm not saying to just ignore it, but I want you to try to build yourself routines and ways of prioritizing and then ways of coping. Because if you take time to do that, then when the situations arise, you have a plan and you're able to quickly get over that and move on to the more important parts of your day. Number 2, celebrate everything. My number 2 suggestion for keeping up momentum is to celebrate everything. And you will see that this step, it intersects with your support circle and building your SMART goals and breaking them down and putting them in the calendar. They all kind of interweave together. And I'll show you how. And I'll give you a story with this. So, my daughter, my 9-year-old daughter, has a dual diagnosis of Down syndrome and autism. And because of her diagnoses, she's had some developmental delays, a good amount of developmental delays, and a lot of the things that other little girls and boys her age that they're able to do easily, she's not able to do. And she does it a lot later. And an example of this was one morning I was cleaning up and, doing a bunch of different things like I talked about before, just trying to be super mom and get everything done before I started my day. And she was up and she was in the kitchen. And when I was coming back in the kitchen with a armful of laundry to go into the washing machine, she was walking towards me very slowly, holding a bowl of cereal that she had made. She has never made cereal before in her life, and she just made herself a bowl of cereal. Now, in the process, there was cereal all over the counter, some on the floor. She had milk dripping down her arms, but she made her own bowl of cereal. And I dropped the load of laundry and took the bowl from her and was just hugging her. And we were, excited and happy, and sent a picture of the overflowing bowl to my husband who was at work, and then sent a picture to my mom and sent a picture to my friends. And some of my friends were in my support circle and some were not. And the ones who were not in my support circle, they would give the little thumbs up emoji or the smiley face or say, oh, good job. But it was the ones in my support circle that really got it. And they really were excited and understood that this was a huge accomplishment and a huge milestone and something that we have been working on and Zari had been working on for a long time. And she was finally 9 years old and can make her own bowl of cereal. Not as neat as I would have liked it, but she was able to make her own bowl of cereal independently. And that was huge. It was huge. And It was just something that not everybody gets. And as our children reach different milestones from those SMART goals that we have developed and we've broken down, when they start reaching those goals, some people are not going to get it. But that by no means that you should not celebrate them. You should go ahead and go all out and celebrate them. Some of the stuff that's going to be reached and accomplished is going to be difficult and more challenging for your child to accomplish and reach. And for those, you want to be the loudest cheerleader in the room and find the ways to celebrate their success. And then you want to find ways to document this stuff too. Start journaling or take that picture on your phone. It's kind of creepy, but it's cool at the same time how your phone will remember. And I'm an Android girl. I'm sure Apple does the same thing with the iPhones, but I'll take a picture and it automatically like stylizes it and turns it into a video. And then on the anniversary of when I took the picture, it'll send me a reminder. These are great ways to help you continue to celebrate and to remember how long and how hard and how funny, how messy, whatever how goes along with your accomplishments. It helps you remember that. So not only celebrate it, but share it. Share it with everyone, but specifically those in your support circle because they will get it the most and they will be happy with you. And then find a way to remember it, whether it's writing it down in a journal or taking a picture. If it's something that you can prepare for where you can take a video, if it's something that your child created, like they made a picture on their own or they aced a test and you can save it, and create a box where all of these different little treasures and memories can go. So when things get hard, you have some kind of a footprint to remind you of these different successes and these different accomplishments, and realize that you are making that progress, your child is making progress, and that you can do this and you can keep moving forward. So celebrate everything. No matter how small it is, it's still a step in the right direction. Number one, remember your why. This journey is full of a lot of ups and many downs. As you spend your time leading, planning, and coordinating, there are going to be times when you feel overwhelmed, confused, and tired. I know on many occasions I have sat down and wondered if I was doing it right, and I really felt defeated when I had difficulties getting the teams that I created for my children to understand the goal and the importance of the goal and why their dedication was needed to help my children meet their goals. It was and it still is times like this when I feel like giving up because I'm so mentally, emotionally, and even physically exhausted. But then I remember my why. I remember the accomplishments that each of my children have made despite how hard it was for them to meet them and how they depend on me to advocate for them. The reason why I continue to do this no matter how hard it is and how bad I feel is because of them. So I encourage you, when you feel like the fight is too much, to spend some time thinking about your why and what your child's life would be like if you did not advocate for them. So now that we've worked our way to number one, let's take a minute to review the list. Here are the 15 ways to keep momentum going and avoid burnout. 15 was to create your SMART goals. 14 was break big goals into smaller steps. 13, create your team. 12, pass the baton. 11 was to build your support circle. 10 reminded you to be gentle with yourself. 9 was take a break and get rest. And 8 was use technology. The 7th way was to use a schedule. And 6 was to get organized. 5, take care of yourself physically. And 4 was take care of yourself mentally. Number 3 reminded you to not sweat the small stuff, while 2 told you to celebrate everything. And the number one way to keep momentum going and avoid burnout was to remember your why. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and for watching this presentation. If you want more information, or if you're interested in scheduling a workshop, one-on-one session, or training, Or if you need any assistance with the content I shared, please do not hesitate to reach out. I can be reached by email at zlshackleford@Creative Approach Online or by phone at 804-554-1870. Thanks again for watching, and please take care.